Mr. Nku, at the time, did you even know how much informers or informants were paid by the police?
Okay.
I heard don't go to the high stakes information and so on that you dealt with when Commissioner Baloyi engaged you. Don't go there, I've heard that. I just want to know, did you know at the time how much informers or informants were paid?
Relatively to successes, the type of success. I think Chief Mashaba had told me that informers would get 1.5% of a major success if it's in the form of a pass. That's why usually I would give him information relating to illicit cigarettes.
And you say 1% or whatever the percentage is?
1.5% of
1.5%.
Of the total value.
You said in relation to major successes, did you say?
Yes.
And in relation to other successes?
For me, major success would be anything in the form of a pass. That's why, generally, I would give him information relating to illicit cigarettes.
What I want to understand is when you seem to put an emphasis on major successes, does it mean for something else the rate was different?
We never had that discussion. The discussion was if there is a success. There's a major success.
Oh, so you were not interested in anything else. You were interested in major successes. That was your focus.
I had no way of quantifying it, Chair.
Okay.
I wouldn't say my only interest was a major success. For me, it would be relative. Because, for instance, if I give information pertaining to a truck, okay, let's give the other instance where I gave information pertaining to large consignment of pack. I wouldn't deem it a major success, but it is a significant success.
All right.
Because of the chain that it might lead to.
Thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say you got to know Chief Mashaba in 2019 or not?
It's around about 2019.
2019.
Yes,
oh, thank you. And did you start giving him information from 2019?
Indeed, Chair.
Sorry?
Indeed, Chair.
And you say your aim was eventually to be accepted as an informer who would be registered, or informant who would be registered by SAPS. Now, it's 2 years from 2019 to 2021. What sort of time frame were you looking at to finally be registered as this informant?
I initially thought it was an easy thing. You provide information once you have proven that you are providing reliable information, then it would be one would be uptaken or considered. But it took way longer, and I started having doubts. That's why I say there was a point where I started having doubts.
That's not answering my question. You are telling me about how long it took and apparently never eventuated. What I want to know is, what did you expect it? How long did you expect it to take for you to eventually be accepted as an informant? Surely, I mean, Commissioner, was it Commissioner Kumalo Baloyi now? I'm not sure who said that, we've seen what type of person you are, and you sound to me as a very intelligent person. So surely you would have had some outer limits in your mind as to what you were looking at. What sort of time limit were you looking at for you to be accepted eventually as an informant?
So, Chair, I personally didn't have a time frame in mind, but rather what was more important was building rapport.
Yes.
What was more critical for me was building rapport, because the more reliable the information you provide, the more rapport you build. Even if it takes two years, by the time, eventually in those 2 years, one gets uptaken, then one is actually able to strike many birds with one stone, because as I've been alluding to the fact that there is the tech side of possibilities. There are system mock-ups that one and his team had been working on building. So with proper rapport, one is able to say that, look, you have seen my intel works, my systems, the way I acquire intelligence works. So let me give you a glimpse of how I acquire that information, and it's through certain technologies. And then eventually one is able to make a pitch. Long term, there would be much more beneficial relationships in terms of being that informant and also providing the technology to aid.
You say that it proved to take quite a long time before there could be an uptake, correct?
True that.
Did you yourself take any positive steps for you to be taken or accepted as an informant? If so, what positive steps did you take? Because I doubt that it would just happen. Maybe it could have, but maybe not. Did you yourself take any positive steps?
Indeed, Chair.
I'm not talking about providing information. Mm-hmm. So you are providing information with a view to ultimately being taken. So what I'm asking you now, there you are giving information. Did you then at some point take positive steps? Now you see how, or the extent to which I am performing. Will you now formally accept me as an informant? Did you take any such formal steps? Positive steps?
We've had those engagements, Chair. We've had those engagements. Though I feel that it was always a come back tomorrow story.
Who did you?
I engaged with Chief Mashaba regarding that.
Does Chief Mashaba, or did he take informants in a formal sense? Did he? Was he a person placed, to take people as informants?
But, Chair, remember when I started reading my statement, I had stated that please consider when we move as a premise, my introduction to Chief Mashaba. At the back of my mind, he was always someone who would be capable because of proximities. Because if he's in close cycles of DPCI, that means he could easily facilitate that. I could not go to people that I do not know.
I'm asking about him. So basically, does that response mean that you knew that he could not himself accept you as an informant?
No, I didn't know.
You did not know?
Yeah, I did not know.
If you did not know, what is this you are saying about proximity, DPCI, and so on then? What do you mean by that? Because if you did not know, I assume that you would have believed that he could take you, he himself. And if you so believed, then it makes no sense to you to refer to his proximity to DPCI and whoever else.
No, I see this in the light of what I know now, maybe, Chair.
But it would have been no relevance to you at the time because I'm engaging you about what you knew at the time. So what you know now doesn't make sense to what I'm engaging you about. Do you accept that?
I do accept it. Back then, because of the introduction, I would have thought or believed for that to be a fact, that I could be taken in.
And you knew that he was a traffic officer?
He was never introduced as a traffic officer.
And are you saying that at no stage did you ever get to know that he was a traffic officer? Back then, not now, back then?
No.
You never got to know that he was a traffic officer?
No, Chair.
Do you know now?
Yes, I know now.
Since when have you known?
I knew when we got arrested.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Nku, we know from your evidence, we now know that there was no money issue about you staying another night in Durban. You went to Durban, you were there for one night. You had enough money, it's not the reason you came back. But we also know from your evidence earlier that you became aware that this truck was not stopping on the way. You explained he never stopped at weigh bridges. You own trucks, so you know that's what happens with trucks, and this man wasn't stopping. Am I right in that recapturing of your evidence? Right? I'm correct. Yes. Now, can you explain, and your interest, maybe before I ask you to explain, your intel had told you there were trucks, there were containers, not just one container. There were containers of interest to you, not just the one. Mm-hmm. You verify at some point at least the one, and I think you had that conversation with Commissioner Kumalo that, well, you forgot about the other ones, so you decided you're no longer interested, and you focused on this one container. Can you just explain, why did you drive up to Gauteng with that truck? Why did you not relay this information? Because now you know the truck that is carrying this, and we have seen from pictures, it has the name of the company by the door. We know the details, so you have that information. Why did you not convey that information instead of driving and basically trailing this truck? Because that's the only way you could have known that he didn't stop at weigh bridges. It's because you were keeping an eye on this truck. Why did you do that? Yes, you may answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Baloyi. I think for me it would have been easier if I had known the details of the truck while it was still in KZN. The reason why I say that it had crossed through these weigh bridges is because the truck details themselves, I got them later on the day. It had departed. I knew that there was prioritization, but when it departed, I did not know that. I had not gotten the details at that point. So that's the reason why eventually I make confirmations this side, and I called Chief Mashaba.
Sorry, explain that again. You were at the harbour, no?
No, I wasn't there.
How did you know there was prioritization of containers? And that then maybe takes me to that question that I had said I would like to hear you explain. How did you become aware that there are certain containers that are being prioritized?
It was through my sources.
These are
and
sources.
access.
Sorry, say that again.
So it was through my sources who have access.
So these
to
are
the
people
territory.
who work there with this stuff, with containers and the movement of containers. It has to be somebody. At least that's how I think about it. That kind of information has to come from somebody who has insight into what is happening in the moment. Trucks are being prioritized either because they can see it on the system or they can see it physically with their naked eye, for them to be able to tell you that kind of information. Which one is it?
Yeah, Commissioner, Walui, I would please limit it to say I had sources for fear of self-incrimination in relating to access to information.
No, I'm not asking you to give us a name.
Okay.
I'm not. If you said to me Temba Koza, it wouldn't matter to me. I don't know Temba Koza. I'm asking how the system worked.
Oh, okay.
You say you by approximately so much, certain containers were identified as being prioritized for transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You either saw that, and that was my assumption when I asked you the question much earlier in the day. I thought you would have said, I happen to be there because I've been given this intel. So I happen to be there because I was watching to see what's happening. But now that doesn't seem to be the answer. Or if it is the answer, you can say that. And so it's either you were there, you observed it, or somebody else observed it and gave you that information, or they work off the system. Transnet or whoever is responsible at that point to be able to say these are being prioritized. So I'm asking what in fact is who gives you that kind of information? Is it someone who's seeing it, someone who's working with it, or is it you who is seeing it?
Someone who has access to the system.
Someone who works with the system. Okay, is the person that gives you that information. And at that point, where are you?
At that point, I'm in the Devon area.
You're in Devon. Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
And someone else tells you the truck on which this container has been put. At which point do they tell you? It has to be a point before you leave.
Yes,
Devon, that you get told, because otherwise, where are you going if you don't know? Right?
It was. I believe it was much later on the day.
So you stayed stationary in Devon until you were told that the truck on which this container is truck so and so.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so you get the details there. Mm-hmm. At that point, then my question still arises. Why do you not then at that point give the information to Chief Mashaba? Because you are in Devon, he's going to meet the truck. Why did you consider it necessary to track and follow this truck? Because there will be evidence that shows, let me say it to you, there will be evidence that shows that on the 8th, you traveled all the way from Devon to Johannesburg or to Alberton. So I asked the question with that kind of information.
So, Commissioner, I gave the preliminary information, albeit not the truck details, but I gave Chief Mashaba the information, and his remark was, make sure that it's correct.
Yes, but when he says make sure it's correct, he can't be saying to you, open the container, because he knows you're not going to do that.
100%.
So whatever he meant doesn't explain why you follow the truck. You have the details of the truck, is the point I'm making, right? Now you've been told, and you've just said you remained stationary in Devon, and then you got this information, and you say you relayed it. It was preliminary. But what I'm putting to you is, but at that point you know the detail. You know it's truck so-and-so, New Jersey, Yellow Jersey rather. Truck so-and-so, Yellow Jersey. It's headed for Johannesburg. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense why you go to Johannesburg. So you would have been told it is headed for Johannesburg. Why are you following the truck? Why is it not enough? In accordance with our earlier conversation where you've given the information, somebody else, law enforcement, Chief Mashaba, will execute it in Johannesburg. And by the way, you have other trucks, other containers, you tell us, that had been flagged as potentially containing illicit stuff. So it seems to me that if sensible decisions were being made, it would have been to stay to see what happens with the other containers and then relay the information to somebody else to execute. But instead, you trail this truck all the way to Johannesburg. Explain that which does not make sense.
Okay, Commissioner Baloyi, I left Devon. I think it was around about the time when the truck reached its destination. So I wouldn't consider trailing the truck. However, one considers this aspect that all the containers were going to one destination. So it's either disregard this one and say that no, Chief Mashaba will follow it. I'm going to give information on others. But remember, at the time, the only law enforcement officer that I know is him and the general. I needed to also ask him then to say that, Chief, what do we do with this other information?
Yes. And why didn't you? Why didn't you give him this information about the Yellow Jersey truck and then say to him, there are other trucks, give me other people that I can speak to because you will be occupied with that one consignment. He would be occupied with that one operation. Why didn't you, if indeed there were other trucks? If there were other containers, sorry, not trucks. Yes.
Yes. Commissioners, relating to the other containers, I did not know at what point their pickups would have been. But I knew definitively.
You had enough money to stay in Devon.
I in terms of following information, I had confidence definitively based on the travel patterns of that truck that had already left. It's somewhat a truck that one was much more confident as opposed to taking a chance because remember there were 11 containers. So either one of those, even on the other two, because they hadn't been collected yet. This one had been collected.
Okay. When did you find out about the travel pattern of this truck? Because you say you left Devon after it had arrived in Johannesburg. When did you find out that how it traveled and that it is now in Johannesburg?
It could have been, I think, around about just before I called Chief Mashaba. Around about later on, around 7:30.
Yeah. So you had someone else who gave you this information because you're in Durban, remember?
Yes.
You're in Durban,
Yes.
you're not trailing the truck.
Yes.
It arrives in Johannesburg.
Yes.
So you had somebody else who tells you this is how that truck has traveled. By the way, when Chief Mashaba testified, he said he didn't have full information when he had the first conversation with you. And it is the following morning, I think, when you met, that you gave him the full details of what it is. So he couldn't have been your source on the 8th that the truck has arrived in Johannesburg. So you had somebody else who was looking at this truck.
I had another person who, another source of information relating to the destination.
As in what? As in a source telling you the truck will be going to Johannesburg? Is that what you mean? I'm trying to understand what you mean.
Not necessarily the truck would be going to Johannesburg. The truck would be coming to Yellow Jersey.
Yes, but you report to the suspicion about, or you confirm this must be the right container and right truck because of how it traveled, its travel pattern. And I want to understand that someone must be telling you that, must be telling you this truck did not stop at Weybridges. This truck is now in Johannesburg. So when I say someone was watching this truck and giving you this information, it's because Mashaba can't tell you that. Chief Mashaba couldn't tell you that it didn't stop at Weybridges. He knows nothing about it. And as I recall his evidence and the evidence leaders and my fellow commissioners will correct me if I'm wrong, that on the 8th, Chief Mashaba didn't have this detail. Where is the truck? Where has it landed? That's why you needed to meet. You sent him a place, what do you call a pin, and you had to meet with him and show him where the truck is. So he could not have been your source. Someone else told you this truck did not stop at Weybridges. And I'm saying, it seems to me, it has at that point to be somebody who is following this truck to know that it didn't stop at Weybridges at all, at any Weybridge. And then someone must be able to tell you that Yellow Jersey truck with registration so-and-so arrived at Yellow Jersey depot, I think that's what it is, and it arrived at this time or on this date. You have to have eyes that are telling you that. And my question, that's what I'm asking you. So you obviously had somebody else. If it's not you, somebody else told you this information.
Chair, let me just say, I had sources through my source in Durban. I had sources in the Yellow Jersey company. That's how it got reiterated, that when a truck travels in this manner, usually there's definitely something.
Okay. So it's Yellow Jersey, it's your source in Yellow Jersey that tells you the truck arrived at this time, but they also tell you it means it didn't stop at Weybridges.
Precisely, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.